Hello everyone, my name is Sean Dye. I'm the owner and founder of Ally Tax Advisory Group. Um, in today's video, I wanted to cover our newly improved tax organizer. As you know by now, many of you have received an email asking you to fill out a tax organizer, which in theory replaces the old method of how things were being processed. Um, in the past, you will get the organizer in the PDF format. Essentially, you would print it, fill it out, rescan it, send it back to us. So this year, with the help of our client portal, that tax organizer is now digital. So there's no more printing, filling out anything, and sending it back to us. So I'll jump right in and I'll show you what it looks like and hopefully answer some of the questions that many of you have or may have once you start filling the tax organizer. So the goal for today's video is basically just that, just to walk you through the tax organizer, go through it with you, try to make it as efficient, as quick as possible, because I know there's a lot of areas that may not apply to you, but we still need it. Please keep in mind, part of the process now is that we need the tax organizer back. We need all of the important tax documents, and we'll go through that in a different video, what they are and what they should be. And we also need a tax interview. That's an essential part of the process. Once we get your tax organizer back and we get all of your tax documents uploaded to the client portal, our staff will review it and determine if it's sufficient. Once it is, you'll get an automated email from us reminding you to go ahead and schedule a tax interview. And I'll walk you through that also during this video. So let's dive in and look at what the tax organizer looks like. So you should have gotten an email. If you lost the email for some reason or you can't find it, the easiest way to get to your tax organizer is to simply log into the client portal, aka Canopy. And to do so, you can do it through our website by going to allytaxgroup.com. On the upper right corner, you will see a link to the client portal, which will take you through the Canopy. As you can see, mine was already logged in, but once you log in, please keep in mind, if you have multiple accounts with us, which many of you do, make sure that you are in your personal account, because this is a personal tax organizer. So if you have a business account, multiple accounts, all you do is simply log in, look at the bottom left corner, and you toggle between the accounts. And as you can see, there is a to-do list, or there's a reminder or something going on that needs your attention. So you simply click on that, and it should be your tax organizer as one of the things on your to-do list. So all you do is go ahead and click on the tax organizer. There's a little message from us saying please make sure you answer all the questions, upload your tax documents. I'm going to walk you through everything step by step. So once you click through that, the first thing you want to do is make sure your information, your spelling, everything else is correct. That's an important part, because if there's a misspelling on your forms, we want to make sure we address it and fix it. So go ahead and make sure you have your first name, last name, your best phone number to contact, your email address is correct. Make sure your social security is spelled out correctly, your date of birth is correct. And one of the key components to your return is going to be your ID information. Ideally, we'd like to have a driver's license number. It's actually, these asterisks, by the way, mean that it's required. So in this situation, you want to go ahead and enter your tax ID, your driver's license number. And the reason we need that is because the IRS is often checking the database with their systems, with their internal controls, to make sure that you are actually the person filing this tax return. Identity theft is on the rise. It's always been on the radar. It's one of the biggest issues that IRS has. So to sort of combat that, they are asking for this information to be provided. So you just go ahead and put your driver's license number, state of issuance, you want the issue date, and you want the expiration date. And please make sure these are correct. I'm just using these as a sample, but check your ID, check your driver's license, make sure it's correct. If it's expired, well, you have a different problem, but you need a new one. So make sure you put the right one. And the next step is basically follow these questions. You know, uh, were you legally blind as of 2022? Were you disabled in 2022? Could you be claimed as a dependent on anybody else's tax return in 2022? Were you a full-time student last year? And my favorite question, do you want to donate $3 to the presidential election campaign fund? Normally that's up to you. It doesn't make any difference on your refund, but if it's something you want to do, please by all means press yes, and we'll go ahead and contribute that for you. Down here, if there's any additional information that you think we need, go ahead and spell it out, put it in there. Anything related to this page. If not, all you do is basically go to the next section. The next one is going to be your filing status. Are you single? Are you married filing joint? Are you married filing separate? Do you qualify as a head of household? Are you qualifying surviving spouse? So go ahead and pick something that's up here, and as you can see, this tax organizer is dynamic, which means it will change the questions based on your answers. So once you click, I don't know if you can notice in the left corner here, if you're single, then obviously you don't have a spouse. But if you're married filing joint, all of a sudden you see there's a spouse information section. So what you want to do is once you click married filing joint, it's going to ask you for your spouse's information. The same thing. We want to make sure we have his or her last name, her or his contact information, email address, social security, occupation, date of birth. All that information that we need is going to be pertinent to our tax return. Is going to be here. Again, if this is already populated for you, just make sure it's correct. Make sure the social security number is correct. Make sure the date of birth is accurate. All that information, if you have any additional questions or information that's necessary, make sure we have that in the comment section down here. For this example, I'm just going to leave it as single, just because if you choose married filing jointly, it's not going to let you move to the next field until you put all of this information in there. So once you do that, it's going to go ahead and allow you to move on. This section is going to be for your dependents. If you have dependents in 2022, if you had a newborn in 2022, all that information, again, if you have any other dependents, please make sure their name is spelled correctly, their SSN is correct, date of birth is correct, relationship is down here. You can choose any of these following fields for your dependent. Did they live with you 12 months out of the year? Did you have any child support or child dependent care during that year? All that information goes here. This is the field that's related only to the dependents. So if none of it applies, and hopefully it doesn't, you go ahead and click none of the above. Once you've gone ahead and added all your dependent information, now the next section is going to be your address. So this is important. The correspondence from the government entities will go to this address. So again, I urge you to go ahead and make sure it's the correct address on file. Clients move often and they don't inform us, or sometimes we miss it during the year. So make sure the address on file is correct. If it's not, please update it here so we can have the correct address on the information. And down here there's a question, if you lived more than one place during 2022, then obviously you can add a second address, or more than one address, so that way we have the right addresses on the forms and we have the correct information for you. Once the address is correct, you just click on next section. Alright, so now next level of questions. Did your marital status change in 2022? What, did you get married? Did you separate from your spouse? Did you get a divorce? If you click yes, remember it's a dynamic form, So it's going to ask you for additional information during the questionnaires. Did you change your name with the SSA, Social Security Administration? That's important. We've seen that happen all the time. Um, Spouses change their last name, they update it with the SSA. They don't always tell us. So this is your chance or your area that you want to let us know. Hey, I went and changed my last name, or I changed my first name for legal reasons. So this area is also important. Please pay attention. Make sure you address it correctly. This area is very important. So if you can take a few minutes and make sure you address every question. Um, we've seen oftentimes people change their names or last names and they forget to update with us. So if that's something you did in last year in 2022, please let us know. You click yes, and it's going to ask you for the right information. Um, Up here. It's going to ask you for the information and everything else. So the next question on the list is, did you receive any letters or letter from the IRS or state revenue agency, often California Franchise Tax Board? Now, our clients are pretty good at letting us know when they get a notice, but in case you received the notice in 2022 and didn't tell us or didn't upload it to your portal or didn't email it to us, here's your opportunity to let us know so we can actually get a copy of it. The next question, this is regarding, again, remember I talked about identity theft, and it's on the IRS's radar. So if you had an identity theft issue in the past and IRS has provided you a PIN, please remember that PIN gets renewed every single year. In other words, we cannot use the same PIN for 21 for 2022. So the IRS mails you a letter, and only by letter you get this PIN. So please make sure you get a copy of it, keep a copy of it, and let us know what the PIN is. Without this PIN, we cannot file your tax return. And God forbid you need to call the IRS these days. It's the last thing you ever want to do. It's going to be a full day on hold trying to get this PIN. So if you're one of the lucky folks, or I should say unlucky folks, who have been stuck with the PIN, please be on the lookout for this PIN and make sure we get a copy of it. Next question is, were any children born or adopted in 2022? And the last one is going to be, were you a member of armed forces in 2022? I don't think I have any clients that this applies to, but again, if one of you decided to join the armed forces and didn't tell me, here's your chance. You click yes, and it's going to ask you the questions necessary for that section. Again, if there's anything here, any comments, questions, or anything else that comes to mind for this section, you can always leave it down here for us so we can look at it and then make sure we address it. All right, when you update your life events, the next one is going to be financial events, and these are could be some silly questions in there, but these are necessary. So these are taxable events or situations that we need to be aware of, and that's why it's part of the questionnaire. The first one is going to be, did you buy, sell, or refi a home or rental property in 2022? If you did, you click yes. That way the questionnaire was going to revolve and let you know what information is necessary for us to have. Did you incur any property damage or theft caused by a federally declared disaster? I don't think we had that in California last year, but if one of the clients that are out of state and you were in a federally declared disaster area, let us know so we get the right information for you. Did you convert or roll over any retirement accounts? Did you have a 401k or an IRA that you rolled over? Again, once you question yes, once you click yes, it's going to ask you for the additional documents or information we need. Another one on the list, or IRS's top list, I should say, is going to be digital assets. Obviously, cryptocurrency, NFTs, and etc. Did you receive, sell, exchange, gift, or otherwise dispose of any digital assets? If you click yes, obviously it's going to ask you for more information, more documentation that we need from you. So again, this is on IRS's top hit list, I should say. So if you did have any of these events, make sure you let us know so we can address it and take care of it. Another hot topic, still a hot topic, is going to be foreign accounts. So the next question is, did you have any financial interest or signature authority over a foreign account or trust? If you do, please let us know so we can address it. If you didn't, obviously check no and just move to the next question. Did you gift anyone or a group of people $16,000 or more? All right. So the next question is going to be, did you gift 16,000 or more to another individual? Again, a lot of these questions are not going to apply to most of our clients, but it's still required. It's still required to be addressed. So obviously, if you didn't, click no. If you did, I hope you told us so we can get ahead of it. But again, if you didn't, let us know so we can address it during tax time. Now this question is very interesting because a lot of clients, or I should say some clients, are purchasing health insurance through the marketplace or public exchange. If you are, please make sure we get the 1095A for both federal and California, because we have to make sure if there's any subsidies or anything else that's being reported on your behalf matches to what we're reporting on the return. So oftentimes clients forget to give us that form. We automatically assume they're not going through a marketplace or a public exchange. We file the return and we get a rejection letter saying, hey, your client did receive a subsidy or did have insurance through one of these marketplace or public exchanges, so you need to go back and file the form and do all that. So if you did get insurance through a marketplace or a public exchange, please make sure we get the 1095A. It's extremely important for us to match exactly what the IRS has. The next question is, did you have health insurance for the entire year? And as you can see, California is one of those states that still mandates health insurance. So if you live in California and you didn't have full coverage health insurance for you and your family, you need to let us know so we can address that. If you did, click yes and move on to the next section. So these next set of questions are still important questions that we need to know. And the first one is obviously, did you make any coronavirus related distributions from your retirement account in 2020? Did our firm prepare your return for 21? And the third question is this your first time ever filing a tax return? So this is where it starts getting very interesting, and I urge you to pay attention to make sure we get the right documents and get the right information for your return. So once you go through this checklist, it sort of acts as a checklist and a reminder to make sure we get all the documents and everything we have that you've received, we have a copy of. If you are an employee, whether you are an employee of your own corporation or you work somewhere else, if you have received the W-2, please make sure you check that off. If you did any retirement distributions during the year, if you got any Social Security benefits during the year, if you have self-employment income, that's being reported as a 1099 NEC or 1099K these years. Did you get a state and local refund? That's being reported on your 1099G. Did you receive any unemployment income last year in 2022? Also Form 1099G. Did you have interest income from a savings account and etc.? That's being reported on your 1099 interest or INT. If you receive dividends during the year, if you have a brokerage account that's under your own name and you receive 1099 dividends, obviously check that off. So it sort of, again, we use this as a checklist to make sure we get the right documents from you. Did you sell any stocks or investments account in your investment accounts? 1099B. Did you have any cancellation of debt last year? If so, check that off. Did you receive rents, royalties? Did you have any distributions from your 529 plan? Did you have HSA or MSA distributions? Partnership income, obviously Schedule K1, S Corps, estates, and trusts. All of these on a K1. If you had any gambling income, W2G. If you had farming income, or if you have any other income, make sure you let us know so we can address that issue. If there is something that you received you're not sure of, again, this comments area is open. Please document what you received. Let us know so we can address it. Once you go through this checklist and everything that you have applies to you, just make sure it's checked off. All right, now that income is out of the way, the next section is going to be expenses. So the main question is, did you pay any of the following expenses in 2022? Did you have any adoption expenses? Did you receive or have an alimony expense? And this is where it gets interesting. This is from on or before December 31st, 2018. Did you have child or dependent care expenses? Did you have educator expenses? This is for teachers. Last time I checked, I don't have any clients that are teachers, but if you did pick up a new hobby and didn't tell me, obviously check that off and let me know. Did you have any higher education expenses? Did you have household employees or household workers expenses? Did you make any contributions to your HSA? Did you make any contributions to your individual retirement plan? Did you have any student loan interest? And did you install any energy efficient home improvements during 2022? If any of these apply, please check off yes. And again, this is a dynamic form. So once you click yes, it's going to go ahead and allow you to check off the ones you have, not only to act as a checklist, but also a reminder so we get the right documents from you. Now this area, the way that unfortunately they did it is not my favorite. It is, this form or this tax organizer is built and managed by a third party, which is our Canopy client portal. So I can't really change the way it's asking the questions, but again, hopefully this video will shed some light on it and sort of make it easier for you to understand. So oftentimes if you do have a home mortgage interest, if you own your house, then most likely you're going to itemize. So again, this is dynamic. So if any of these expenses apply to you, then what you want to do is go ahead and start itemizing your deductions. And this area now becomes a form where you can put that information in there. So if you had medical and dental expenses throughout the year, you enter that information here. State and local income taxes, the ones that you paid out of beyond your W-2 income, then you put that information here. Sales tax, real estate taxes, personal property taxes. So this is your DMV record that you get. There's a portion of your registration that is going to be personal property tax and it's deductible. You can enter that here. Mortgage interest expense, donations to that you made in cash, non-cash donations, casualty and theft loss, and then gambling losses. Other itemized deductions. So if there's something here that's deductible and you don't see it, you can add that here. So you can put a description, the amount, and our staff will review it and make sure it qualifies as an itemized deduction, and we'll take it. So the next section of the tax organizer is going to be, did you make any estimated tax payments or overpayment that you have from 21 that is going to be applied to 2022. Now if it's an overpayment and it's tax return that we did, obviously we're going to go ahead and record that. So you might not need to put that in here. if you want, you can, but it's not super important. But what you want to do is, if you do live in a state that has a taxable income, obviously California has a state tax. So what you do is you check off California, and as you can see, the federal payments are going to be on top, and your California estimated tax payments are going to be down here. So if you didn't make any payments during the year and we didn't know about, or you didn't tell us, or you didn't upload your voucher for us, this is your chance to let us know. So you basically let us know how much of an estimated tax payment you made and the date you made it. Simple as that. Any other questions, comments that does apply to this section, again, can be typed out in the comment section down here. So the next section of the tax organizer is basically related to your refund, or if you have a balance due, then the payment to the IRS or the franchise tax board for your state. So the first question is going to ask you, if you are due a refund, how would you like to receive it? Did you want to do a direct deposit, which I highly recommend, or did you want to get a paper check by mail? So once you click on these two options, then obviously it's going to ask you for the information, such as your bank's name, routing, account, and also who is the account holder, what type of account this is, and whether it's a personal or a business account. This applies to both sections. So if you are due a balance, or you have a balance due, how would you like to pay it? Did you want the payment to be drafted out of your bank account? Did you want to mail the IRS or the franchise tax board a check? Did you want to pay by credit card, or did you want to set up an installment agreement? Now these two options are there, there's some costs associated with it. So if any of these two options do apply to you, let us know and we'll cover that during your meeting. Paying by credit card, there's a fee, and so is setting up a payment plan. So if any of these two last options do apply to you, please let us know so we can address those questions. All right, so the last part, or the area that you actually upload your important tax documents, is basically towards the end. So you're almost done with the tax organizer. Now the next step is to make sure we have all of your tax documents. And remember, we checked off that, hey, I'm an employee and I have a W-2. So this checklist comes from the answer that we did back here. So if you recall, and we can change that for you here, for example, if you have a 1099 interest, 1099 dividend, and a stock investments account, if you check these off, when you come back here, it's going to create a beautiful list for you. So now you have a W-2, you have a 1099 brokerage account, or B, you have a 1099 dividend, you have a 1099 interest. So now you can go back and make sure, hey, I owe these documents, and you can start uploading them here. So once you do that, click on upload, pick the applicable document, and voila, it's going to have that information uploaded for you. Once you've uploaded all of your important documents, you just click on next section. If you're happy with the results, you're happy with the information, you put everything that you think is correct, all you do is hit submit and done. So simple as that. Again, thank you for tuning in, and hopefully this video has been helpful. We know that a tax organizer can be intimidating, but hopefully once you see that it's basically a series of questions, it's very simple and sort of easy to do. If you have any questions or comments, or need to speak to any of our staff, please always feel free to reach out and let us know how we can make things easier for you and help you with the entire process. hope you have a wonderful day, and thanks again for tuning in.